Never whistle ever again.
Whatever, we have a band now.
Welcome to After Hours Drunkcast, where we're still hanging out at Don's Depot and have some drinks and talking with Dylan. We have Shane Thompson still hanging out from South Carolina. I'm Travis.
I am Dylan.
And we're a Drunkcast. We're a podcast that takes place at bars in Don's Depot and hang out and stuff. And we already asked you 3 questions, and I'm glad to have you back.
Well, this is a special After Hours.
Yeah, it's an After Hours thing, yeah.
We want to talk about specifically the thing we want to talk about earlier, the South.
Yeah.
And the flags.
And we're just whistling Dixie.
And we're done. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a very particular thing that's happening really all over politically. And a lot of it has to do with whether or not... So there was a conversation that happened recently about the... I've been listening to a podcast called Our Conversations About Race. It's a clever thing, and it's a couple of different people in a panel who talk about race. And there's a guy who actually went to a Kentucky school. I think it was a Kentucky school. Who lived around a Confederate flag.
Did that.
And one of the characters, one of the mascots of their high school is a Confederate person, like a guy in Confederate garb.
A rebel. Yeah.
A rebel.
Yeah.
And we're at the point now that we don't know whether or not the children who are seeing the Confederate flag or a rebel understand what that actually means. And so the high school itself, all of the students, regardless of race or age or conversation, like what they really want, did not want to lose their rebel because the rebel was what their high school was about.
Yeah.
And you wanted to bring up earlier.
This is a good one.
This is one of those things where anything I say to anyone that hasn't lived in South Carolina or
Kentucky
below is going to think that I am an ignorant, racist, and there's no way around that, and there's nothing that I'm going to say now. There's nothing I can expound upon that's going to make anyone think anything different, other than hoping some intelligent people realize at least the devil's advocate I'm trying to play in this.
Yes.
What a preface, everybody. What a preface.
Yes. Well, because it's absolutely accurate. We talked to the prime episode for this week, 143. This is 143B. That there's complexity that lives beyond a binary conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
And so when you say like, Confederate flag means this to these people, or Confederate flag means this to some other people, like it's not that easy.
Although before Shane goes in,
sure. We should take a shot.
Well, yes, we should shoot that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to add the most luxurious gold-plated tapestry ever.
That's me.
I can't say that my experience in the South, again, this was a few years ago, it was still binary there.
Many years ago.
20 years ago.
Kentucky's kind of pushing it south.
There was still... I always argued that because they border Ohio and
Kentucky's
Indiana.
not like south, like how my accent's slowly changing right now after that shot.
But don't tell them that.
I will not.
But the point being, when I lived there, at the time in which I resided in the state of Kentucky.
In Wist.
The argument was still binary. That may have changed, but the cultural upbringing that was so ingrained in the people there, it is binary. It is very much this is who we are.
Yeah.
So
that war was about this.
What I saw firsthand, again, a few years ago, it was binary. There was no gray area. It was black or white. Yeah. So I'd like to hear Shane's next version on this.
Yeah.
All right, so essentially the Mason-Dixon line is...
In Ohio. No, it really
is not exactly spot on. That's where we're going from true south. Essentially, it actually starts somewhere around North Carolina and carries down in Florida.
Sure.
I think once you get past, Mississippi, Alabama, going west, that is the end of the true south. Texas is geographically southern. It is not a southern state.
Well, historically speaking,
Louisiana.
We're just insane people.
Well, historically speaking, Texas was both a part of the Confederacy and the Union at the same time.
That's true.
Sure.
They
But-
swapped like 3 times.
One of the stories I like to start with, trying to explain to people, which, like I said, like I prefaced before, is no one, and like I said, no one will agree with me, and I will be the ignorant Southern bastard.
Shut your pretty mouth. I live there.
saying this.
I understand.
But
Dylan, I don't know if you
after-
know this. Dylan, please don't hit the table.
God damn it.
This happened before
Not the
the last thing, the shooting in South Carolina, where I think it was the governor who, until a few weeks ago, the Confederate flag still flew right underneath the
right. Yeah.
state capitol,
Yeah.
Nikki
the
Haley,
state flag
good on ya.
and the U.S. flag. And unless you grew up in these states, you won't understand. It wasn't like a big symbol of racism. It's just a fact of history. That's where your family for generations had stayed.
Or if anything, it was
and
literally
died.
just it was a spot.
And,
it wasn't anything related to history or anything. It was just something you always saw.
Yeah, it was something your great grandfather died in a war for. It
Sure,
had not to do with slavery, but he
But that's the
died
key,
for
though, right?
this.
I would.
This is where I already said everyone is going to disagree and think that it's it, but that's not what you're holding on to. You're holding on
by your premise
to your
so far.
family.
It's by family.
Yeah, and we all agree with that, actually.
And then, and what I like to start off with is, and this is in Columbia, the state capital of South Carolina. There's a man who
Stephen Colbert's home state.
every morning, every Monday through Friday, wakes up, puts on a Confederate soldier's uniform,
Sure.
takes a Confederate flag, full-size Confederate flag, and marches from his house, which is I think like 6 or 7 blocks from the state capitol.
Sure.
Marches to the steps and back home. And people are like, "What? This racist piece of shit does that in front of everyone?" This is a black man. It's a black man who does that.
Yeah.
What?
Every day of the week.
Well, as I mentioned before, I don't want to interrupt, though, but like
No, go ahead.
Because the conversation with the high school specifically that had the rebel character is played by a black man. The mascot for this high school is a rebel who's played by, and he's proud because it's a high school thing.
The
high school
key
thing
ingredient here is that, again, my experience in the South, and I think Shane is really nailing this. There are people who live there who are not racist. They've unfortunately been painted into a racist environment.
Yeah.
But there is a element of genuine pride of this is who we are as a people.
Yeah.
It has conflicted with modern definitions of things.
Yeah.
But there is still a historical pride of family. Especially, the South is very, very familial. Very familial.
Oh,
That
sure.
is a fact.
Yeah. of
The
course.
South is the Mexicans of America as far as family. I mean, like when it comes to
I'm gonna give him
when it comes
that.
to family, the South is like no, family goes back 300 years because we're family. God damn it.
And they paid attention to that, but not math.
Well, that's true too.
They paid attention to that, not math.
Yes.
Yes.
But
Or history.
But the ties, the genuine emotion and partially nostalgic ties to familial. Here's where I come from.
Right.
The South is very rich and very deep in that. It's a very brilliant,
And it
wonderful
goes
thing.
Okay, so I have
Okay, go ahead.
I have a side question specifically when it comes to like. So right now, we know that there are 2 known knowns in the world when it comes to education. Texas buys the books that everyone in the United States purchase,
Except for the ones that take it from California.
and the Texan school board is very fucking conservative no matter what happens. So we have our new Texas books will not talk about slavery at all. They talk about Moses as being one of the. I don't know. Are you excited about the song that's playing?
No,
or-
go ahead.
okay.
No, I was about to say something. Go ahead.
So there's a curiosity now, like, so is an ignorance about what a thing means based on how history is told to the people who are around it?
Yes.
And is that worth forgiving a
No.
group of people?
no.
Texas is one of the few states that has a Texas history.
Yeah.
Yes.
You learn your regular history, and then you learn Texas history. It flies that flag,
it's the
fucking
only-
Texas
it's the
in
only
my
one, yeah.
veins.
We also
now.
have Texas law.
When we see the Confederate flag, it doesn't mean I hate black people and I'm racist and blah blah blah.
Right.
Well-
we don't have a South Carolina
No,
history class.
Right,
But
right.
to us, it is the same thing when you see a Texas flag, as we're remembering our grandparents, our great grandparents,
Yep.
what's going on there.
Yep,
It's
yep.
along those same lines, which I said at the beginning, and I know I've repeated myself several times. Most people are going to think I'm stupid, not understand.
Sure.
But it is along those same lines That is our history, and then we're the people who are thinking about the right way, and even the stupid people who are racist and are using it as an excuse. And I obviously will, consent. There are those people. Obviously, I'm not stupid, but
no, of course.
That is along those same lines. You believe you take Texas history and appreciate the Texas flag. Yeah. Does that mean that you hate America or you don't want to be part? It's the same with us.
Or do you hate the people from which
South.
we stole Texas?
We're not saying we agree with those same things. Just like we're not gonna have any shoot anyone that's not white. Just like you're not gonna go start killing Mexicans because you like the Texas flag.
Well, and so
do you at least see where I'm coming from as a person who makes sense?
I'm making a joke as a Texan.
Right.
We probably would shoot Mexicans.
Yes. But was that a point that made sense?
That made
a little bit? Okay.
It made beautiful sense actually.
The reason why I brought it up was also so understanding that the reason why there's a black person who does the flag regiment every morning, why there's an African American gentleman who is playing the rebel in a high school every single day as a mascot for a football team, is that at some point the history books obfuscate what actually happened.
Exactly. That is it.
And that's a bummer because now we can't, and we can at the same time try to blame a group of people for a thing that they don't even know better.
And does the Confederate flag stand for those other things too? Yes.
Of course.
It does. Yeah. And it can be a symbol of hate, just as dirty as a swastika. Yeah. That is, you can't deny that. Yeah. But it all has.
Don't compare.
But because people use it that way, I'm not. You see what I'm saying?
It's people.
I utterly and completely and 100% disagree with you.
All right, Bill, Adam, bring it up. Adam's back. Adam McWater is our beard and luck dragon. He is not. He was gone for a second, so I have to introduce him again. But he's back on the show.
Yes, I'm still here. Sorry.
Put your earbones in. Put your earbones.
I do have an earbone in.
You have an earbone?
I only got the one. The other one lost its rubber nipple.
Go ahead. I don't want to be the ignorant Southerner.
You're not Shane, and I love you.
UK listeners will love
I'm not saying
this.
there's a good point beyond 4,000 years ago with the swastika.
I can say this. I can say that stance upon the rebel flag, whether or not it's there, or the black guy running to the Capitol and back every single day, the Confederate flag itself, the rebel flag itself, in order to argue that it did not, in fact, stand for what is the actual definition of racism and in support of racism, is just simply not paying attention to what it used to mean.
No, hold on now.
No.
I'm not done.
All right,
go ahead.
Let him
Secondly, of all the countries in the entire world that have actually gone and said, okay, yes, like the Nazi thing, just don't. Because Germany to this day, generations after that shit, still teaches their children, here's what we did. Look at this.
That is excellent.
We are ashamed.
Point.
We do not fly our flag. There is no nationalism. There is no allowance for that.
This is great.
Because that
great.
shit is fucking dangerous.
But
that is completely true.
But to my point, Japan still doesn't teach their kids what they did.
Agreed. Like I said, there is a country in the world that has actually stepped up and taken responsibility for what they did, and they are completely willing to admit it. And it is completely and utterly shunned in their day and day out.
I completely agree with what you're saying. I thought I apologize if I came off.
I honestly think you have salient points, and the things that you are making are salient points. However, I think they are spoken.
Super passionate, and I'm like, shit. What did I say? I'm sorry.
I know. I'm bad.
Because you're a Southern gentleman,
That's
sir.
Adam.
Okay.
That's Adam.
But
Adam gets passionate.
I will say this about
Don. No, please continue.
This is good stuff.
But as far as the
we
rebel
pause?
flag goes, I think on the white side of things, there is a massive misrepresentation of it, and it's willful.
And that's where I disagree. And I think that's
because it's just history. It's our historical roots. My family's been here for 300 years, and they haven't.
Okay. We can't have this many voices at the same time.
Okay.
Keep it simple. I understand what you're coming from, Adam.
So am I to stop or
No.
No, you're
No,
making.
I should, definitely.
That's not in general.
I love the passion right now. I really love the
No,
passion.
you're nailing it better than we are. I completely agree with everything you said. I hope that I had prefaced it earlier a little bit with what I was. I'm trying to play devil's advocate as to
Sure, I understand
as to
that. Yeah.
why people would.
Well,
If I may, that's
And-
where
and
I'm coming
don't-
from. Like both you guys, you're pitching a instance where a symbol represented the absolute atrocity of man.
and no
one?
one's denying how
Yeah.
much horror and bullshit came from both of those flags.
And Shane also mentioned the atrocity of man on this level. But I think the one point that may be missing from your side, Travis, Adam,
Yeah.
I'm pointing, waving fingers for the listening audience, is Shane has a point that is a cultural point where the flag doesn't represent anything other than family.
Okay.
What were the chances of generation upon generation?
Okay.
God damn it.
I'm really not trying to cut you off. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page because Dylan, I love you, but when you say the word cultural, we're missing the actual point, which is
No, I don't think we are.
So Shane kept making the point like I don't want to sound like the ignorant Southern guy, but the truth of the matter is ignorant doesn't have to be a negative thing. Ignorance can literally be,
and I agree to that. I very much agree
it
to that.
can
yeah.
literally be all you know right now.
Yeah, and for that, when I say cultural,
Yeah, that's what you say,
we're on
cultural.
the very same page.
But the problem is, like, ignorant is a better way of coming to the table for a thing because you say
fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Because you say cultural and say like, well, cultural means that you don't know better.
No,
Without,
I mean,
I don't know. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm saying specifically, like, if there are people who literally are sitting at a table and their family, their entire family, believes this one thing, and it's not even about a race. They didn't even know that the Civil War existed, for example, and they just know many years from now that a Confederate flag was just always flown, then they will always just believe that that's just part of their state.
which
That's
is
and so like when we say cultural, that's the problem. Is like
no,
it's an easy
thank you-
buzzword.
No, well, thank you for the clarification. There,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but that's the point I'm trying to make. It's always been there,
Right.
which is can
and
be
the
a
South.
bullshit.
The South is rich with always have been there.
And if
So-
I can just
Right.
follow up with the positive
Yeah, yeah.
point of what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
All
Yeah.
you right now.
Southern American culture, whatever is considered Southern, Southwestern, South, whatever,
Gotcha.
are you going to find better life, better people, better food? I mean, honestly, there is a level of ignorance to that has benefited it. Where it's just, that's always flown by the capital. Who fucking cares? Right? Great. I love Southern culture. I hate the fact that they refuse to look at where they got all of it from.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yes.
are they maintaining it? Yes. Are they actually doing a fucking great job of it? Yes. God, they're the nicest. You have the most fun. They have the best food.
Smartest
they have
podcast
everything
ever.
Best tea.
And
How did they get it?
the only way it actually happens, and the only way it can be possibly accepted in our society, specifically here in America, the South of America, is because we just don't think about it.
All right.
We just cut it all off
yes.
and remain ignorant about it in blissful ignorance,
now-
and that's what bothers me.
So
and that's my problem.
Here's a weird preface. Like one day, Andrew and I had a fight for the first time
No.
of the 3 times.
We need like another hour for this. right
Welcome
now,
to
dude.
life.
It was the first fight of 3 times we've ever had a fight in our almost 8 years. And one of it was we were driving somewhere. We were driving up to see, we were in the East Texas or West Texas. We're going out to McCallum, that area, discussing.
Sorry for your loss.
No, McCallum, whatever. We're going someplace. And we're driving through these like shitty little areas, and I know the math of where people get their internet.
Yes, by Dairy Queens.
By Dairy Queens. And I know that.
Let's go Southern math,
I know,
sir.
I know internet's
It's a
not-
village unless there's a Dairy Queen, and then it's a town.
And I know that internet's not prevalent there, and I made the point, like, it's interesting to think that people who live by the farm will always want to be by the farm
Yeah.
because they don't know any better. And she said, no, but they know they can do something better,
But they don't know.
but they literally
They really
cannot
don't.
because they have no way of knowing what they're going to do unless they're a doctor, a veterinarian, or a farmer, or maybe a politician in their small town, whatever it is.
Actually, farmer doesn't work. They're going to stay there if they're a farmer.
No,
That's what I mean. It's like-
that's the beauty of the complexity of this entire
Of this,
conversation.
that's the reason why I bring it up.
Yeah,
It's like at any point we can say like, why do they not know they're ignorant? is the hardest part because they can't. Like that's the beauty of ignorance, you know?
Yeah.
Is that ignorance is literally saying you don't know any better. What?
It's bliss.
It's bliss.
And there's a red light.
And I feel like that should be a saying somewhere. Ignorance is
like a
cool.
Ignorance is like happier.
Ignorance is
happy birthday.
I've got it. Ignorance is a Matrix sequel.
Oh.
Hey, he nailed
That
it.
didn't happen.
Well, that's ignorance.
But my point about that, especially because, like, specifically, I listened to a podcast, and the podcast said,
Stop it.
they were talking about this. The podcast was like our conversations about race. It's a great podcast. And one of the guys who was there is like, I grew up in a Kentucky school or wherever it was, and like they still have a mascot that is a rebel character for their high school, and it's played by a black guy because they don't know what that means. And it's because, if anything else, that's why I brought up the Texas thing. At Texas education, those books happen. Those books are bought by everyone else because Texas has such a huge thing. It's cheaper to buy in bulk. So every college or high school textbook has to be simple, and the simplicity at some point will forgive or ignore entirely the worst things that have happened in our lives. So if one person's like, oh, Confederate flag, like, I think I saw that in an Applebee's. That must mean Applebee's. Like, can we forgive them for that? We'll find out after the break.
Change my name to Denise Leary. See what happens.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Hey,
Segment 2.
we're still here edition.
This is
Oh,
143B. We're still hanging out at Don Zebo, still having a good time.
This might air.
This is a Will Smith, man. Like that was Fresh Prince and the Jazzy Jeff. That was one of my favorite weird cuts of that thing because like we remember that part. Like one day I was rapping and like etc. But we don't remember like the first verse is actually him talking about being at the club and like touring.
And now alcohol tore it up.
That's still the second verse. Like the first verse was still like talking about how people like the thing we haven't heard yet. Like, premise was broken, right? You know, Will Smith, get your shit together. You know, whatever.
You saw my blinker, bitch.
The worst. Still hanging out with Dylan, still hanging out with Adam, still hanging out with Shane.
Yep.
My parents.
Hi.
Week vacation. That's all I remember.
So really, like, okay, I want to dive into this because the "You Saw My Blinker, Bitch" was the meanest thing that he's ever done. Will Smith, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, he's been making music for a long time.
27
35 years.
When I was still in high school.
Oh yeah, so 45 years now.
145
years in.
In 1872.
So I hope that's not the thing. Will Smith was very proud of the fact that he was never a guy who would ever use cuss words.
It's true.
He didn't want to use profanity because he believed in whatever. He
Scientology.
He made a bunch of music. Well, that was
Probably not back then. Yeah.
Way before Scientology.
Yeah.
One of his songs,
But he was clean.
After a lot of the clean, like he was blue or whatever.
Ish.
At a certain point,
He was magenta for like 3 seconds.
because he did Summertime, and Summertime was dope. Like it was.
The living was easy then.
And he started just making these songs about like every movie he was ever in. And one of the songs was about how he got into a scuffle while he was in traffic. And the song was "You Saw My Blinker,
bitch.
Like that is literally
He says
verbatim.
And for him, that's hardcore. That's
Super
hardcore.
hardcore, yeah.
He was mad that day on the highway.
It was kind of an accident the way that it happened, yeah. But it was really surprising, like, for him to make. Basically, he pooped something so hard, and it came out so soft. Like, he thought this was going to be the thing. Oh, no one's going to
Best tombstone ever.
He pooped something so hard that it came out soft.
Yeah. This is a hologram says.
Long live the king.
And honestly, Summertime was great. He got a lot of play. It was very cool. And it got pulled back. It got pulled back really hard because it wasn't what they wanted, you know? And like, then it became a joke. And then he was like, all right, so I'm a joke? All right, cool. So how about this song about Men in Black? Am I a joke now, motherfuckers?
That made $100 billion every summer for 9 years straight.
Again,
And Men in Black was a good movie.
It
was a
really
good movie.
was.
Yeah. Was the song a good song?
No.
Right. Did it make money?
At that point in time, though, having like tailored songs to your movie, nobody was expecting much.
Oh
Really.
no, I would say he was actually the king of
That
making-
ended at TMNT.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. No, Vanilla Ice was the grandfather then.
Actually, that's true.
That's pretty solid.
Yes.
Yeah.
After
yeah.
that,
Holy shit.
After that, you did not give a shit whether or not the soundtrack included an actor in it rapping.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking Vanilla Ice, man.
Wiki Wild Wild West, guys.
Yeah, 9 years later, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. It's actually a pretty good song, really.
Wiki Wild Wild.
I
Except-
just remember the video where they had the CGI alien doing the female vocal chorus.
Right
that
after-
And that was taken out like Left Eye was taken out of the waterfalls of doing the one cool thing of the song. We're like, oh well, that was the rap part. Like, yeah, the cantina,
Yeah.
the cantina cut.
Don't go chasing Lucas.
No fingertips.
May I suggest a thing?
Please, Adam. Yeah.
When you're editing this either to Oblivion or to release,
Yeah.
shortly after this
Ah.
conversation stops, there is a great song I will send to you that you should play, and that is Summertime Sadness by Michael Kill
Oh, I know Summertime Set. Oh no. I
and
don't.
Adam Warrock and Chocules, who actually does bring up the reference like, this is not the summer that you promised, Will Smith. And about people who hate the summertime.
Sure.
I was there'd be Porsches with keys left behind.
Yeah. Oh well, that's Dubai.
Dream of Genie, yes.
Well, that's the Parents of the World. Nothing but trouble.
I Dream of
Yeah.
Genie because I'm
Well, no.
I'm 145 years older than that.
I just found out that I'm fully.
That was he sampled that for that song.
I hear Barbara Eden in skimpy
Oh,
clothing.
you saw her with her belly button. You were like, yeah.
I officially know I'm no longer relevant.
Why not? I mean, this is new. This is classic rock, guys. You know,
It will never die.
never
But
ever.
in Houston on Rock 101, when I hear Will Smith,
or whatever. Was
It's always the X, isn't it?
I don't know, but that was close enough to make me believe you.
Was it the X or the box, or was the
That's 97.9.
97.9 was a box? In Houston or in Austin?
97.9 The Box was a rap station. Remember the guy got
Yeah,
fired for making the joke?
yeah. What do radio stations in Houston and also airplanes have in common?
They both
have
have
a
a
little
black
box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I please have a circle, please?
I would like a shot in a beer as well. I think
just
everyone
a
else
drink.
should. Nah, he needs a shot too, or I'll buy it.
Yep. And a barbecue. So.
Oh, that's true.
Or lightsabers.
Will Smith has always been a really interesting thing for me because I kind of grew up on him. At the same time, I grew up on like real music, but I also love the shit out of Will Smith the more than I actually love the shit out of the real music, quote unquote, like Eazy-E or like Jesus Christ, it was like was it Ice Cube or was Ice T? There was a rap song about it was a bunch of like the nighttime rhymes,
Well, it depends. I see. Ice-T did the cop killer stuff. Ice Cube.
It was a song.
Was,
it was a song about a bunch of like. It was about nursery rhymes and like him traveling through the nursery rhymes.
Did you not have to use your AK today because it wasn't
No,
a good day?
it was like it was
Ice Cube.
It was a really goofy song. It was a goofy song about how he was traveling through this world where like Jack and Jill went up the hill to catch a little knack. Damn bitch gave him the quack. Like, then went to go see Dr. Bombay, got a shot in the ass, and he was on his way to go see some blank he knew who lived in a horseshoe or whatever. Like, and it was like this nursery rhyme thing that was like they were trying to do everything they could, but every time Will Smith was doing something, everything he could, like I felt like he was still trying to like connect to a thing that he will remember again. And then every song since the 90s has been him saying, "No, I was there the whole time, guys."
Yeah.
No, I was there. Like,
Remember your barbecue? I was there.
and also don't cuss. You know, like, hey, I drive you home from your bris. Like, we're cool, right?
He got
Like,
overtaken by a more popular movement
Yeah.
in that world, which was they cussed. That's
Well,
what they did.
and then the cussing thing too. Like, he even makes the mention of like back in the day when he was like actually trying to be realistic when like he was doing the hip hop thing, not the rap thing. If you were trying to make a conversation between
Yeah, he
the
was
two.
trying to be after like MC Hammer when he came back and tried to do the pumps and a bumps or whatever.
Oh, sure,
You
sure.
remember?
Yeah.
He wasn't MC Hammer anymore. He was Hammer.
But like even saying like Will Smith even saying like in Lost and Found, which is actually a pretty good album, all things
It was
considered.
an Ice Cube song, by the way. I just found.
Oh, that was Ice Cube. Cool. That
I
makes
just
sense.
told you
A
that.
gangsta's fairy tale.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Sorry, Adam.
But like Will Smith saying like back in the long ago, like basically saying in a song, we could rap without eyes at ease, like how it was challenging, but no one remembers him being there. Like he was the cousin who was like, yeah man, I helped you with the thing, and like no, you weren't there. And it's a bummer because I want him to be there at the same time. I also want him to not exist anymore because his children are terrible.
Especially on Twitter.
Especially on Twitter.
Yeah.
And he did make a joke about that too. He was in
That's
some
what it should. There's no end to jokes about that.
he was in some talk show like so you know like his what's the name of the kid that does Jaden Smith. Jaden Smith went on Twitter and just
Oh wow, they're retarded, right? Or mildly? Is that?
Jaden Smith was the guy like you can actually do at some point you can do the Tracy Jordan quiz
I'm sorry, mentally challenged. I apologize.
where you can say in between like is this Tracy Jordan or is this Jaden Smith? Where he says like eyes aren't real unless we can conceive them, Liz Lemon.
I
Like,
didn't mean for that to be inappropriate. I apologize.
so Jaden Smith was this thing where like he was a kid and he shouldn't have been a kid where people can see him. And so like Will Smith and Jaden were on a talk show, and he's like, he was talking about his son. He said, yeah, I used to do dumb shit all the time, but no one saw me do any of it because I didn't have a way, a venue for these things to
for
come out of your mouth.
broadcasting the dumb shit that I do
Yeah.
to the public.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yet he's like, but yeah, he can be Karate Kid. Oh, I also want him to be in every movie I'm ever in. I hope there's a sequel, or I hope they reboot the what was the Last Man on Earth thing that Will Smith did? The terrible version of
Who cares?
what was it?
Who cares?
No, the vampires.
No, that was good.
Legion.
Legion.
Legend. I am
Legend.
Legend.
I am Legend.
That
There
was
you
a
go.
good book, by the way.
The book
a
was
good
way
book.
better, right? Way better.
The movie was not good.
Because the book was all about this character who's lived for a long time with a dog,
And they changed the ending.
and they changed the ending because the problem was there was these vampires or creatures who were telling a story about the weird white guy or the black guy or whatever, the weird human who was coming into their houses and murdering them. He was the legend.
He was
Because
the
he-
antagonist in
exactly.
the thing.
He was the fucking. He was the.
Spoiler alert.
It was a story about the bad guy. Spoilers.
Yeah.
The race of beings that was coming up after the fall of humanity.
They were the bad people. Yeah.
Well, they were, but the thing is, there was this one guy, like the last human left.
Who was slicing them up and killing
In
them.
which case,
Yeah.
humans must have been horrible
Yes. Yeah.
when they were the prevalent race.
Right.
And-
And so it led into it led into the propaganda, an easy propaganda to say like, well, we need to get rid of all the humans. It's good we got rid of the humans because this one guy is murdering all of us. He's the one who's going to show up at your door
Right.
and he's going to ruin you if you don't eat your vegetables.
Yeah, and the
even,
coolest
like-
thing about it was he was effectively in that book a local legend.
Yeah.
Like
Ah.
no other area would really. There were no humans there, but he was just like holding out and going door to door and destroying them.
Yes.
So you never saw the happy mutants,
Of course not.
taking care of their children and feeding them
because
until
that-
Will
yeah.
Smith busts in the door and starts killing
yeah,
your
and
father and your
Yeah.
sister in
Yeah,
front of your
yeah,
eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
now they're
yeah.
telling these stories to each other about he's going to come, he's going to eat
He
your kids.
was
He's
the,
gonna,
he was the boogeyman for
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah.
and that was
After
the
humanity moved on.
and that was the legend.
And
He was that legend.
I am legend. He was
He
literally
explained
the
that
legend.
way better than I would have.
Yeah.
That was-
That's-
thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
Not a Will Smith joint.
And I love stories that do that
But,
stuff.
and that's
really,
what that's why the movie was so shit because it was all about him.
I love stories that do that shit. Like I honestly love that because like there was the one of the first episodes of Rick and Morty. Like it was actually the first episode of Rick and Morty, where Morty has a thing and Morty has a gun and Rick's like, no, just shoot him because they're robots. And he shoots one of the fucking bugs and he bleeds out and his friend's grabbing him is like, tell my wife I love him. And Morty has to realize that no, it's not that simple. It's not always that fucking simple. Because there's always a person who's trying to convince you otherwise.
Tell my wife I cheated.
Yeah.
The dog episode I think is my favorite. That hits me closest to
where are
home.
my testicles? Where are my
Where are
testicles,
my
Summer?
testicles? Summer.
Yeah.
Summer, where are my testicles?
It was
That
such
was,
a good
uh,
episode.
It was pretty perfect. I don't know what I would have changed to make it better.
Pretty imperfect.
To highlight like the things that we do normally, in the event that the things we do them to gain sentience, how would they react?
Well, it's
Like-
one of those where there are still like dick and fart jokes, which I'm not always a fan of, but
Right.
but on the whole, if you can see through that, there's this whole other upper echelon of comedy.
Have you seen the
that
latest?
I love.
The latest stuff?
I think I've only seen the first.
I've only seen the
new
first two,
series.
but with the multi-dimension.
Yes.
Oh.
And
Yes.
just, it's so frustrating and hilarious at the same time.
Awesome.
So it's worth prefacing, if you're listening to this, especially if you're listening to this after hours thing, and you liked our show enough to listen all the way through this far, fucking watch Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is the best cartoon on the planet right now.
Not just cartoon.
Click like and subscribe in the
Sure.
annotation.
It's like just one of the best written comedies.
It really is.
Easily.
And,
yeah.
and it hits a lot of points that, like, it's almost too easy to try to boil down to certain words you tell to other people, but it's like literally worth watching in a way that you pay attention to why they're trying to do a thing. And it's great.
It's beautiful satire.
It's beautiful satire.
It's beautiful science fiction.
Very, very good science fiction.
Way more intelligent than you would at
Expect.
first
Expect,
give it.
It's excellent
credence for.
comedy.
Yeah.
If for another reason to hear Chris Parnell say "toe up from the flow up," that alone should be a reason to watch it.
For sure.
Dr. Lee the Spaceman.
Fucking.
Nothing about the show is bad. Nothing about the show.
Honestly,
is bad.
like, even when you think it's bad,
it's insanity.
it turns itself around, and all of a sudden it's good again. Like, they literally, like, they know how they're going to be bad in order to remind you that they know what's going on. And
just to point out,
I can't give spoilers about that because honestly, there's a little teaser that came out.
What was the video game they played? Was it Paul the Game?
And there was a Meeseeks at the back. Like,
Yeah,
when they're walking through, Like,
Was it Paul? Was that? Am I getting the name right?
That sounds pretty. That sounds pretty good.
I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna take a break and I'll look that up because
Hey, I got some lime on me. Yeah. You gotta lick it before I
smells like
stick it.
lime.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more Drunkcast.
There you go.
break.
Oh, it's like our drunk history. We're having a drunk history moment. This is great. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Hey!
Segment 3, the Fighting 3 of the After Hours version of Drunkcast is 143B.
We don't do this anymore.
I don't know what those numbers and letters mean.
143 is the number of episodes we actually had, and then B is the After Hours version, which is usually at the time we've had our cups.
Yeah, you could also describe it as 143.5.
Yeah. Yeah, which is usually good for the numbering of MP3s, for example.
Yeah.
Dots are welcome.
Really, season 9 now? Season 5?
Season 5 now.
So this episode will be SCO 5.
SCO5 135.5.
No,
One-
it would
one-
be SO5E.
SO5.
143.5.
So the fifth
5.
season, so the level of me being pissed off about not being invited before is multiplied by 5.
Yes.
Only if you want to forget all the times I've invited you before.
You should
And
drink.
hey, let's take a shot.
You should drink to forget. Yes.
Drunk logic.
Yeah.
Come back.
All right. Now no one
delightful.
remembers anything from before.
There was a Confederate flag conversation. I think
Oh,
I said something
shit.
really clever, and Dylan made fun of me for it, and he was right.
No.
I'm gonna feel like I was saying something really smart, and then Adam scared me, and I ran away.
Because it's not about heritage, it is about hate.
There's
Anyway.
It's a little person. It's a little person.
No, and again,
Anyway.
no. I love.
Can it be about both?
That guy's got abs,
I
man.
love this perspective. We don't need to go into it anymore, but I just
No.
love the very tertiary points of it. You have a very, very poignant view.
Yes. And accurate.
Yeah. And so does Shane
It also is accurate.
from
yeah.
living there, and
Yes.
I have a very different view,
Yeah.
more of an observer of the South, where I agree with both parties.
You were the watcher there, yeah.
Yeah.
You've been there for thousands
I was there the
of
whole
years.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in the arc that that.
Oh, you're the thing that's... Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's a wonderful, beautiful, complex. It's complex.
It is complex.
It's complex.
It's complex.
And I love it. And that's why we're the smartest
Great game
podcast
series.
in the whole
Great
of
game
England.
series.
Yeah.
Hello. Don't be scared.
Hello, hi.
Hello, friendly people. Have you met Dylan?
That's Dylan. He's awesome.
He is.
Hey!
Welcome to our audience. How are you?
But what a great topic, though.
Fixed.
It is.
really
Honestly,
is.
And like, it's hard to not delve deeper into it.
I would love to do that when we're soberish.
I don't even remember
Yeah.
who brought up that topic.
You did.
But we all did, actually. It was.
I didn't even realize that was.
You didn't. It was.
That
It was
was
probably an
me.
article.
No, honestly, I would love to have like both sides. Adam, from his purist nihilist perspective.
I'm not a nihilist.
Yeah, you are. You're anarchist, at least.
It's close, but.
And then,
Yeah.
then I'd love to have Shane from his more culturally I've lived there perspective, where he's still, I think, on our side of the argument. He's-
most.
But he has a
most
different
assuredly.
view of the argument. I think that's what makes it so interesting. Is that
And I think that's
Yeah.
really important. Like, having a second view is really important,
Yeah.
at least to have a conversation about it, because
Yeah.
when you stop having a conversation, that's when you stop.
that's the end with
I
Fox
think
News.
That's
Yeah.
the only way that anyone would actually begin to listen to me in the first place is the fact that I concede the ignorance from the beginning,
Yeah, of
and
course.
then
Oh,
kind
and-
of work from that.
Of
fact.
course. In every situation, you should always go that way. You see that route of like, I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but this is what I feel.
Oh, so you're saying
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist?
I'm not a scientist, but
I'm saying I know at the basis of what I'm talking about, there is definitely hate, and that is
Yes, of course.
inexplicable. There is no way to deny that.
yes,
But from that point, and not trying to protect it or in any way trying to
Right.
cooperate with that is
You're
trying why people would
Right.
continue to fight on this side
right.
of the argument.
Because it can't be as simple as racism. It's complex, which is
It
why
is.
it's why I want to bring up.
Which does not mean that it's inherently correct, because it's not. It's
not.
bullshit.
It's not,
but
yeah.
it cannot be completely inherently evil for that simple fact.
Right.
If it's not all of one, it can't be all of another.
Right.
Which doesn't make it right,
Right.
and it's not. But I will
Let's
shut
speak-
up. I will shut up now before Adam hurts me.
Speaking of evil,
Yeah, you can feel the burn, and not the good kind of burn.
so Adam, I did watch that. Hey, Adam, in between episodes, did mention
Hanging out at your house.
There was-
Yay!
It was a
Happy times.
was it a 2020 episode? It was.
I think so. So it had that feel.
It was a
like-
woman. It was a woman who decided for 18 months of her life she was going to pretend to be a man, and she was going to try to, like,
Was she hot?
She was going to intervene. It's like she-
The burn cocks.
Her goal was to try to
Yes,
not
no.
intervene. What's the word I'm looking for?
She was infiltrating.
infiltrating. She dressed
what
up like a
she
man.
viewed like as a lesbian woman, blah blah blah. She got her hair cut. She had makeup artists, and they helped her like glue stubble kind of to her face. She,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
passed.
Like
she passed for
brushes,
Ned.
yeah.
Is this character that she made up, and she tried to really, and she went to vocal coaches and all kinds of stuff about
wow.
how men
Wow.
react to things and how men do these things.
Okay.
Her
Wow.
thesis was to
To infiltrate man-only or decidedly man-only spaces
In order to figure out what male privilege was.
in order
Oh.
to figure
Okay.
out what
Yeah,
male
all
privilege
right.
was. And what she discovered was entirely like, her first step was
Homoerotica.
what her first
That
step
actually is the
was.
answer.
She walked into a bowling alley and joined
Her first mistake.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I would actually agree with that. Yes, but in her area, whatever that
Yeah.
was, it was kind of a cool idea.
It's a stereotype of saying like this is the place where when guys go do a thing that's usually not
Right, it's their
not
excuse.
invited. It's
Yeah.
a very
It's
exclusive.
it's
group
exclusive to men only.
Yeah.
to
Right,
men
so
only to go
from-
to this. Like
Yeah.
every cartoon, every comedy. Everything that's always been is like, this is the time where guys will go do a thing and the girls will go do something else. Who cares?
In the
So-
50s,
yeah.
that's
so
that's
this
true.
Ned
And-
person,
And so
this character Ned,
she went there because
Yeah.
from her perspective, this is where
as,
guys,
as Ned.
yeah, as Ned,
Yeah.
she went there or he in that case went there, and but there was that concept, there was that already like she already knew That's the thing. This is where you escape from your family, your wives, your whatever, and
Yeah.
you can be safe as a man, and blah, blah, blah. And she joined a little team, and she was total shit and whatnot, but she was like,
She was surprised.
Like,
That's
like,
actually curious.
one of the guys in that bowling team was the one that was like, yeah, well, come bowl with us. Come on. Like,
Yeah.
totally accepting of this other male.
So
As-
she was saying that she would not be accepted. Is that her?
No. But the thing was,
so she made a point very early on that she thought that when she became accepted, or even if she had the conversation, is that guys usually fuck with each other, and they're like crass, and like they talk about vaginas like in a weird way.
Only if you like the person.
Well, so
exactly. That was what she discovered. That's what she discovered. She discovered that in that group of close friends that she was then allowed into
yeah.
as Ned.
As a person who was bad at the thing they were doing,
Yeah.
they were incredibly acceptable.
She was
Yeah,
chided. Yeah.
but
Okay.
They were incredibly accepting. No matter how shit she was at bowling and whatnot, they just helped. And then they ribbed each other. And she was like, that is literally the
Yeah.
male replacement for intimacy, because they don't think that
Yeah.
that's a thing that
Yeah.
you can do.
Yeah.
You can't show feelings. You don't talk about it. It's not mental. It's not anything.
Right.
So you just say, oh, you're a pussy, blah, 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 your dick's small, boom, bowl.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she
True
learned
story.
that. And there were a couple of them that she actually got really close with as Ned and whatnot, and eventually like drew them out to invite him to drinks.
and reach back to them afterwards. Like that was a really cool telling part. Is like when the guy like who knew that she was a girl, when she finally came back to him, is like seeing him after a certain amount of time. Their relationship changed entirely, because it went from like we're
course.
just hanging out as friends to here's what my wife does, and not even because she's a girl. It was like now he can finally be intimate with someone else.
Yeah.
in a non-romantic way.
and
like,
they, but
Yeah.
he was
This
very
is a
he
whole
was,
different show. We need
but
to
he
do
was
this.
he was still very open. Like
Yeah, I
once he
know.
found it, he was like, oh, it blew my mind for a minute, but then it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. And she came back.
and you brought it back. Yeah.
Yeah, but he had like he saw an avenue for him to actually talk. Hey, well, me and my wife, we're going through these things. Like someone to talk to that he can't talk to his
Yep.
male
Yep,
friends
yep,
with,
yep,
Oh.
yep.
and whatnot. And
Yeah, that was the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden,
she
he
did-
realized, like, oh, now he has a girlfriend.
Friend.
And he's like, oh, well, let's talk about these things, because with the other dudes, like, we don't bring that
they
shit up.
call me a fag.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even that. Like, they just don't talk about that stuff because whatever.
Right.
Because they do
But-
basic things with each other, whatever it is.
Beyond any other
But no male privilege.
like
her
the
hypothesis was completely blown out of the water.
Oh, I missed that whole part. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason
Yeah.
that she did it was because she was trying to figure out.
She was trying to prove
she
male
was trying
privilege.
to prove that male privilege
What
happened.
she discovered was we're actually
We're just
people.
normal fucking people.
she
Yeah.
as a male, as Ned, would have an easier time through life.
And she
But there was
discovered-
one like, and she, yeah, the exact fucking. She's like,
It's done.
I'm.
Because
Butt
people don't
run.
respect women enough at
Well,
all. in
she
general.
didn't take that route. She was like, there was one time
Is that
as
what's
Ned,
going on?
Thanks, sir.
Think you done?
as Ned, she went to a coffee shop, and she saw a lady.
To
And the
my-
lady's friend went to the bathroom, whatever, and he made his move there and just started chatting her up and things, and then came back like that same exact day. Came back because like she got blown the fuck off. Like it was every excuse that she would have used.
Yeah.
Especially as a lesbian in any given, Oh, I haven't seen him in a long time. We're about to go to a thing. It's really, you should definitely leave.
I was being a smartass. I didn't know. Is
Yeah,
that
and-
what she was trying to?
Yeah, and then she came back. She took all the shit off, and she came back and said, "Hey, yeah, we just talked, and there's cameras here, and I understand." But she had like the lapel cam or whatever, like hidden,
Okay.
and she had a frank discussion with the girl. And the lady was, much more open about things and about the concept. And she was like, "Something I learned. We don't have to as
we
women
need to do more of this.
Yeah,
Like,
as women don't have to make that first move and risk being cheesy or
The
angry
biscuit, is what
or
you're saying.
or
Not risk it.
yeah.
yeah, not Bisquick.
You want to? Are you saying don't risk the biscuit?
Never risk the biscuit.
Because we can't be biscuit riskers.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
but what she
Patent pending.
garnered from those experiences that she tried that from was that what she gained from it Okay. What she gained from it was women have 100% of the power in those exchanges
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah. I think I learned about 20 years ago.
But now take that into consideration. That revelation into consideration to a woman who is also into women, granted, but never had the concept that whenever they got hit on when they didn't want to, and blah blah blah, that they had 100% of the power to make that,
Yeah.
to just shut it down.
Yeah.
And they always do, and they always have, and they always will. Because they're not the ones crossing the room and working up the guts to actually make an opening line.
I have a very, very, very simple philosophy on this. Women have all the vaginas in the world, so
all of them.
they own all of things, everything, all the time.
All right. But it was.
That's kind of transphobic.
It is.
No,
a bit
but men
transphobic.
do things to have power to get pussy.
It's the cradle of life. Can we say cradle of life instead of
Right.
saying
Women
P
have all the
word?
vaginas.
Right, but I don't know. Like, even though like the news
The
reporting
vagines.
methodology that they used, it was actually incredibly interesting. She actually finalized the whole thing while taking meds for depression because she was acting like Ned the entire for 18
Yeah,
months.
for 18 months, yeah.
I want to see more of all of this. We need to go deep into
And-
this one.
Yeah, I can share that with you easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
The whole
it's-
show in this.
It's good, but she went to a men's retreat where she saw what would be, from a women's perspective, very scary shit. And then, I mean, gross.
She's just so. I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Great album.
I actually don't like big butts.
I don't really mind.
I don't.
Whatever.
I don't. Yes, sir.
I wasn't smart enough to continue the conversation, so I played a song.
Yeah.
Fun.
But anyway, it was really interesting. The resulting, like, conclusions and whatnot. It's just like she's like the only like they don't have.
Yeah.
What
they don't
ended
have
up
any
happening, like,
particular social privilege.
After that, what was
Well, because
kind of the
because her hypothesis was simple, like male privilege is a thing. At the end of it was like, it's more complex than that. It literally is not as easy as saying like, dudes have privilege, women have privilege,
Right.
things happen. Like she was like, oh,
There are physiological and
It's-
biological differences to certain details, but
Yeah.
beyond that, it's
we're just people.
it's-
We're just people in a fucking
she
rock.
learned
Actually,
she learned a lot of social constructs and a lot of things that we put ourselves into.
But I mean, was there like a litigious angle?
No, it
To
wasn't.
the-
No, it wasn't like anything.
I
like,
have to go back with women have all the vaginas.
I appreciate.
What's your
Shane-
point?
I actually appreciate Shane for using the word litigious.
yeah.
yes.
Because when Adam brought this up the first time, it sounded like a person who was like really, really trying to prove a thing, but not just like trying to prove something for science. They were just like trying to prove a thing so bad that they could sue. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
And
knew
then she got
I knew-
fucking shut down because life is not that for males. And
randomly I knew this guy who was a really sweet guy who worked at a Papa John's at Westlake with me, and decided to work for a Chili's or no, it was a Fridays. He worked for Fridays. And he was a hostess. And one fine day, this beautiful little lesbian couple walks in, and they overheard him say to his manager, like, lesbian couples are beautiful. And they were holding hands. They were obviously lesbian couple. And he got fired because all he was
What?
trying to say was like, that's a sweet
yeah,
thing
that he
happened,
liked that.
He liked that thing.
He said that's
He said
good.
it, like in a good
way.
As if that were a big butt.
Right. As if it were a big butt and he could not possibly lie.
And he got fired for not lying about it. Yeah.
You notice that?
That's a big bummer. It's a big bummer.
And scene.
And 5 minutes.
But it is definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
And just to
No, I want to see all of that. That's really fascinating. We're
That's crazy.
deep in our cups, way too deep in our cups. But I love that exists. It gives me some hope as a cynic.
Honestly, it was an excellent experiment, and I like the
Some
fact.
hope as a cynic.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
yeah, well, I mean, basically the long and short is she came out of it thinking like, I really like being a lesbian woman.
Yeah.
And,
the end.
gender in general. Like, the concept of gender is in fact a mental thing. It is in the mind.
Wow.
No, actually, it's not.
And
They have all the vaginas.
Okay. We're not going to say moratorium on all of vaginas.
That's sexual preference, not gender.
Actually,
Sexual preference and gender.
It's both all three preferences.
We cannot, after drinking for 3 hours heavily on a podcast, talk about that.
Everyone likes vaginas.
What we can do is we can talk about documentaries that may or may not help
Exist.
a conversation we want to do. Whatever, fine. But
And scene. All right, thank you.
gender's hard.
No, it's
Gender
not.
is hard. And
It's not.
iffy.
Well, yeah.
Well, depending on if they're 14 or not.
Sexual
Okay.
preference
Don't-
actually.
yeah, that's different than gender,
Yeah.
and do not get me
but
started,
they
old
won't,
man.
they won't tell you that it's different from gender. They'll
But
just
it
say the gender
is different.
Yes, they will say the gender they've made up is just as valid because gender is a social construct brought up by the patriarchy or whatever the fuck they're
It's
saying
something
these
like
days.
that.
It's brought by
Yes.
some archy, and it's not necessarily male-driven.
It's brought up by Lasco. The fans.
And
Yeah, let's take a break. We'll come back with a toast and we'll end this thing.
break.
This is fun. Catching up. Welcome to the show, everybody. Toast segment of the podcast.
Ghost segment?
4-3-B.
Is that what I heard?
Ghost
Ghost
segment of the episode that will not exist.
there'll be chilies involved.
We took the shots because we were talking about jokes.
jokes and
And they're so bad.
But it's
And
a
we
good
get
time.
distracted when we're in our cups.
We're having a good time in our cups, really.
Yeah, we are.
Like, you know.
All up in
I
it.
think Adam should give a toast.
Yes, dude, toast.
Oh shit.
Beer.
Um,
Germans.
No.
Think about the nuns and the cobblestones, man.
Nutterstones?
No.
This little guy right here.
Give me
Here's a
brothers.
toast. Fuck. Oh, to a successful test of the engine that's going to take us to Mars.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking real science.
Yeah. Bill Nye, motherfucker.
That's why I posted that Bill Nye thing. And like one of the, if we can drum up $5,000, we can
From
totally,
viewers like you.
we can totally listen up, Cambridge. All right,
That's right. We need the drunk cast.
we can drum up $5,000. We can totally pass off Drunkcast as an educational
Well,
institution.
I don't want to brag.
and get Bill
I'm
Nye
gonna
on
boast,
the show.
But I'm intercontinental when I eat French toast.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna do $10,000 just get him directly on the show.
Yeah, $10,000.
Is that all it takes?
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty on Drunkcast.
Oh,
I
all,
want
all
that
of
to
the
happen
above.
right now.
All the
Okay.
we'll buy more microphones. It'd be fun.
Let's do that thing.
Yes, we
Cheers
do
to
that.
that. Cheers again. Cheers.
Indiegogo.
1,000 years. 1,000 cheers.
1,000 years, 1,000 years.
1,000 views. I don't mind.
This is the end of the show. Adam, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us, of course.
I love you.
I love you so much. Shane, thanks for coming out and hanging out with us. You are always welcome, and I love you.
Shane, come hang
to
out
death
more.
forever. Yeah.
do
Hey!
it. Do
Yeah,
it more,
yeah.
I
Shane.
feel like they're just being nice, and I'm
No.
never gonna get invited back again.
Hey,
Be
the
more on
antagonist
show.
is asking you to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. High five to that shit. God damn it.
Be on the show more.
Hey, wait! There's people that aren't guys looking at us. Everybody stop recording for
don't-
like 3 seconds.
Dylan, thanks for running the show with me.
Don't worry about that just yet.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you want to know more about the show, you want to like the show, if you want to go to iTunes, for example, and upvote the show,
Zune Store?
They don't know we're not famous. Why are we not over there yet?
I will explain that in a little bit. We're on Facebook.com/DrunkcastLive or at DrunkcastLive.com. We are at DrunkcastLive on Twitter. We're at DrunkcastLive Pics on Instagram, which is not a thing. We're at iTunes and Zune Store, which is not a thing. 412-440-7468 is
72268.
412-440-SHOT. SHOT.
Listen to us on your Zune.
Yeah. No, of course not. I got my iPad. Yeah. Honestly, like questions to Drunkcast Live, send some stuff and we will do some things. If you want to text 412-440-7468,
Yes, do that.
we will respond to your text in a very palatable way. We will. I can't say it's possible.
A Palpatine way?
Palpatine
Ooh,
way.
yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Are you done?
Almost.
Okay, finish up.
Bye?
Love you so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
It was a brand new boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Rock the beat.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Get
boom.
down.